Master, of course, back here in the program. You got who you fighting? You got some guy we've never heard of. You're fighting here in a couple weeks, right? Next week. Oh yeah, Rampage Jackson. That's right. Yeah, that guy.
An unknown commodity known as Rampage.
Yeah. So this fight kind of sells itself without any of the normal trash talk you have to use to sell a fight. Have you had to do a lot less selling of this fight? It just naturally came, naturally is the media just grabbed it, or are you still having to let the media know, hey, this is a big deal?
It's one of those things where, because it's a tournament, Frank, I'm not calling anybody out. Like, somebody just asked me the other day, hey, if you beat Rampage, are you going to call out Fedor? It's like, well, it doesn't work that way. It's a straight line bracket. There was no fight here that got put together because, one of us contestants asked the promoter to or called the other guy out. It's not about that. It's a straight line tournament. I don't know who's going to advance. I didn't know Rampage was going to be in the quarterfinals. I don't know who will be the semis or the finals, whether I'm participating or anybody else. So it just didn't really lend to that. It didn't really create the storyline. The storyline is it's the tournament, and this is step number one.
So I was, obviously my whole family stalks your show. My wife listens to it without me all the time. I have to catch up half the time on the episodes. Of course, my son Frankie listens to it every the moment it comes out, he's on it. Like 30 seconds later, he's listening to it. We all heard that Rampage actually put out he was fighting you the first round, and you were completely surprised by it. You're like, oh, I didn't know. That's something I didn't know. Like, how did that slip through the cracks that you didn't? Because usually the guy that I listen to find out more inside information, but you didn't know about your own fight.
Yeah, well, first off, I appreciate your family listening. I'm very flattered by that. But all that I had been asked is I got a call from Mike Hogan, and he just said, hey, would you ever fight at heavyweight? And I said, yeah, I would fight at heavyweight. Neil Coker does a lot of that. King Mo comes to mind, where he'll just make some matchups that people want to see, and sometimes he'll call it a catch weight, and sometimes he'll just call it heavyweight, and guys can show up. So I just said, yeah, that was the end of it. And then I think I got some information. They were looking at a tournament. I can't really remember now. But no, I did not know any of the matches. In fact, I was on I think Ariel's show broke that, or ESPN did. And so, I mean, I was happy to be part of it. But no, nobody had ever called me. I never had a bout agreement. I don't know if I've signed a bout agreement yet. But I don't need to, Frank. I'm the same as you, man. I'm a tournament guy. We don't know who the hell's going to show up. We get on the scale, and whoever else, whoever else's dad brought their kid to the tournament that day is who you're going to wrestle.
Yeah, that's it. And you try to predict, oh, this guy is definitely going to get through. I'll see him in the quarters. I'll see this guy in the semis. And it never works out that way. There's always some weird lose or some cross bracket that happens, and so you can't ever look ahead. You just have to look at this fight. So you win this fight with Rampage next weekend. When is the next time you fight? Have they already set the dates for the rest of the tournament?
Not for the semifinals, but I can get you pretty close. So we fight, I think the final semifinal, which is Mo and Bader, goes down in May. So we then go into the semifinal, or that's the quarterfinal. So we then go into the semifinals, which will be two of those matches. I don't know when those are. However, the finals they're hoping to have that done in 12 months, so which would mean January of next year, if not December of this year. That's tentative, but I do know that is what the plan is. So, summertime, very early winter, and then right into the championship.
Can your body handle 3 fights of this caliber?
Oh, yeah.
You're moving up a weight
3
class.
fights in a
Guys
year.
are bigger and heavier. You get a guy like Mitrione. He's going to lay on you and put a lot of weight on you. Like, those are long, grueling. Even if you come out winning them relatively easily, it's still a lot of extra weight you're carrying around.
Yeah, I agree. But, and I do think the one advantage Rampage and I got is that we're first, because to your point, a tournament really is about, duration. Who can hold up? Who can walk out there when it's time? Coker's got to have alternates ready because he's very aware of the fact that it is a lot to ask of some guys, three guys. So, but yeah, I mean, definitely. Frank, I don't know what it's like to feel good. I hear guys talk about, well, I wasn't 100%. I would be so thrown off. I would have no idea what it's like to be at 100%.
Yeah, 100% is a fictitious term when it comes to sport. And tournament action is even worse because now you're looking at all that shoulder that you want to take. You want to miss one fight. You can't do it. You got to take the fight. Hey, buddy.
Frank, I'm sorry. My little maniac just came in to say hello. And if he pulls the cord out of the wall, it will turn this whole computer off. So I thought it was best to bring him in on the interview.
So he is your child.
This is my guy right here.
He's going to go at it.
2036 Olympian. You're staring at 97 kilograms.
If I can't be a part of the show, I'm going to wreck the show. That's just how it works.
Exactly.
So you're still a pretty big mark. Speaking of which, you're still a pretty big mark for pro wrestling. You talk about it a lot. You're still very active in watching it. What's your opinion on Ronda Rousey? She's been seen out with Triple H having dinner. Just obviously the conversation has been with her for a while. If she makes her WWE debut, how do you think she'll do?
Yeah, that could be fun. It would all depend what her contract looked like. If she signed a three appearance deal, then I would say she's going to win her first two to at least get to this third appearance. I don't think they're going to rough up their own commodity. That's a surprise for me, though. Ronda's a bit of a surprise for me. But I'm happy for her. I think that she'll have some fun over there, and I think that she is looking to walk back in an auditorium full of people. That's the right place to do it.
Why is she surprised?
Well, they usually go after somebody that can draw and do them really big numbers, and a lot of that allure is gone. The mask is off, and it was what it was. She had a lot of fun and had some wonderful things said about her, whether any of them were true or not. And you just kind of enjoy that moment. And it just surprised me. Generally, when they do bring in a sports star, it's somebody that's hot and fresh at the time. I'll give you an example. They were going to have Mike Tyson was going to be a special referee way back in the 80s. He got knocked out by Buster Douglas. Mike Tyson got pulled from that position, and they put Buster Douglas in it. So it just surprised me.
Goes. Pro wrestling they have to have their finger on the beat of on the pulse of the fan. If they don't, they lose. And for Vince, it could be losing 80 seats in the arena is not that big of a deal. It's the pay-per-view and the download and the buying of the T-shirts and the buying of all the merchandise, where he makes all of his money. And if it costs him $100,000 to make it, and he can only make $100,000, well, it's a bad business deal.
Yeah, no, that's right. And Vince still, even though he is more than happy to admit this is scripted entertainment, he still does favor, a legit shooter, a legit tough guy. And, so when the mask came off Ronda that she's not, what's he going to do? He's going to bring her in, somebody that couldn't get out of the first round, and then she's going to beat up his talent that we're supposed to believe is real tough. I'm just saying it's a tough spot. I thought it was a surprise.
Yeah, that makes sense. The way you're explaining it makes complete sense. So, you being a big fan, you know the game. Has there been any conversation about you jumping into pro wrestling after your MMA career is done, or doing it in the middle of it?
I had one. I kind of pissed those guys off. I had one offer. It was to be part of a Royal Rumble, and I didn't do it. And I wanted to do it. I just couldn't get the date. I was already committed. I even tried hard to free that day up. I thought it would have been a great experience. They thought I was blowing them off, and it was just one of those things. And anytime I hear from them after that, if they come to Portland, they'll contact me and set me up with some nice seats, and I'll go down with some friends and have a great time. But that was really the only opportunity I had to jump in and be part of the show instead of watch the show.
Is this something you want to do, or is it something if it comes up you'll do it, but you're not hunting it down?
Yeah, I'm not hunting it down. I do get a kick out of it. My spot was given to Shaq. Shaq went out there. He was only in there for about 30 seconds. But, yeah, I was jealous, man. I thought, wow, it was pretty cool. And I thought Shaq did an awesome job. He also did the right thing. He took the bump. A lot of those celebrities come in and demand that they win. It's like, guys, this is just entertainment. Just go have fun. But let the guys that are doing the heavy lifting have their moment. They're the ones that deserve it.
It really is. They call it scripted entertainment, but it's really a live stunt show. And that's because you're really getting hit, you're really getting bumped, you're really hitting the ground, and at some point something goes wrong, and then you got to adjust and on the fly fix it and keep going until you get to the big finish. And the only thing that's really scripted is, hey, Chael, you're beating Trigg tonight. Okay.
Yeah.
And that's it. And then the rest of it, you and I got to figure out. And then we're going to figure it out. And in the middle of it, if I get hurt, I'll be like, hey, we got to end it now, like I blew my shoulder. And he'll figure out a way to get me down and get your signature move on me, and we'll be done. But
and that's the magic of it. I love how you just presented that because, they were so worried, particularly in the 80s, that if the mask came off, business would be done. But they were wrong. It was like, no, people are more than happy to just be entertained. We don't think movies are real either, but we still go fill the theaters up to watch them. Just entertain us. So, yeah, you're right on all of those points. It really is an amazing athletic event. It's just not a competition.
So with that being entertaining, Rampage is always entertaining when he fights. I'm switching gears and going back to the fight for a second. How much does he have left in the tank? I mean, both of you guys are older. Both of you guys are on the back end of your careers. You're definitely trying to not money grab. You know, you're not out there looking for the big fights. You know, the $1 million fights that we've seen some other guys go after. But you're definitely trying to earn some money to pay for, you know, the 2036 Olympian. It's a lot. The Olympic tournaments, man. That's a lot of money that's get put out. It's a lot of singlets, a lot of shoes. So, you know, what does Rampage have left in the tank?
Yeah, you know, I really don't know. The thing on Rampage, he's extremely strong, and he's a great competitor. You know, he really does have a fighter's heart. He's got an iron chin, and he's powerful. I think he's got one way to win this fight, which is to knock me out. I've only been knocked down once in my career, and I've never been knocked out. That doesn't mean he doesn't have the power to do it. I've also never fought a 260-pound man, but I think that's what he's got to do. And I think
260? You think he's gonna be that heavy?
I saw him about 12 days ago, and he was 260, but he said his goal was to come in at 245. And for King Mo, he came in at 253. So I think it's pretty fair to guess he'll be right around that 250 mark. Okay. And, yeah, so it's a different environment for me. I don't even have training partners that are that big. You know, have a big guy come in every now and then. But, I mean, it's something new for me. I'm going to have to figure it out on the fly. But I will out-hustle him. I will be in great shape. I will out-scramble him when those positions present themselves. And if I can get to my spots, he's going to have a hard time. If he gets to his, I'm going to have a hard time. But that's true with all fights, right?
Yeah,
that's just true with competition.
You're really not lifting back the curtain here, Chael. You're basically just giving us rhetoric at this point. Like there's no
it's just the way it is.
The only thing that I really see is that with Rampage, we fight at 205, he would run out of gas. And I thought it was because he was cutting too much weight. But now if he's coming in at 250, that's even heavier, and it's a lot harder for him to carry that weight around. Do you think? Obviously, you believe your cardio is going to be way better, but is it going to be so much better? You'll be able to start smashing him in the second round because he's running out of juice.
Yeah, well, that's the whole thing. That's the whole thing, and I really don't know. Once I tie up with him or once I drag him down to the mat, I'm going to use a lot of energy. He's good at exploding and getting out from there. I'm going to need some time to stay on top of him because I do need to preserve that energy. It doesn't matter who's better, Frank. If one guy gets tired, well, he's going to lose. So, but I do think it's pretty straightforward. I mean, I've been in spots where it wasn't. I can remember when I was fighting John Jones or Anderson Silva. You know, those guys were so diverse. You didn't know if they were going to do a spinning back kick or a flying knee or a reverse elbow. You just never knew. With Rampage, I think it's pretty straightforward. He's got some heavy hands, and you know, he'll lift the knee up and try to knee in the stomach a few times. But it's pretty straightforward.
Are you concerned at all with the I've heard you say this before, where like with Tito's fight, you were he tapped it, I put that choke on him, and then he got out of it, whatever. Are you still concerned with how officiating is done within the sport? No, I've never really seen a bad ref. I've even heard people complain about it, but I also come from a different perspective, which is I've reffed a lot myself at Saturday tournaments and whatnot, and you know, thrown on the green and the red and go out there and had the parents screaming at me, and sometimes they're right. There was plenty of times where if I could have done it again, I would have made a call different, but the sport doesn't work that way. Right. You hold up your hand, it's fast action, you do the best you can, and that's where it ends. And it's not a perfect science. We're not building a piano here. We're scoring wrestling matches, or in this case, MMA matches. I've really never seen a bad ref. I've seen a couple of fights in smaller promotions where I thought, why did the ref not stop it? You know, his job is to protect the guy. But in the major promotions, I've heard a lot of complaints, but I've never really seen it. Even with the judging, I've never really seen it. Everything's very subjective. Those are the parameters you operate in, and so you get some calls that maybe surprise you, but it doesn't make them wrong. It's the way it is. Yeah, full disclosure, I will be reffing that night, but I'll be on the undercard. I will not have yours or Chandler's, or you're the co-main event Chandler's, or Lima the main event. I won't have any one of those three fights, so it's just interesting to have your take on it because you've been in the sport almost as long as I have, and then seeing like I've never really thought there was a problem with officiating or reffing until I got out of it, until I stopped fighting, and I was like, oh, there is kind of an issue in some commissions. California's not one of them, obviously. You know, California's the lead of it, and that's why I choose to be here. When it comes to Rampage, he's flashy. His fight, not his fight style, just his personality. You know, the Audi 8 and the RT8 and all that stuff. You know, he had that big car and the Lamborghini and all that stuff. Do you think he's trying to get back to that heyday? Because obviously, you know, he's not making as much money as he was before. He's still making a great living right now, but it's not as much money as he was before. Is he trying to use this term as a platform to accelerate himself and other things? And is he kind of stepping on you to make you the stepping stone?
I would imagine if he's smart. I mean, yeah, you know, you always want to parlay. You know, you want to parlay whatever opportunities you get into what's next. You know, be a chess player, not a checkers player. I don't know what his motivation is or if he looks at it that way, but I know he's very happy to be at heavyweight. He did not like the weight cutting. I don't think he likes the fighter lifestyle. He's been pretty open to say, I don't like training. I don't like doing sprints. I don't like getting up at 5:30 in the morning. But I've never seen him quit. I've seen him out there tired. He was tired against King Mo, but he kept fighting for all 15 minutes. He really does have that heart and that mindset, and I admire it in him.
So what's the difference between the Vanderlei Silva training camp and this training camp?
They were pretty much the same. One problem I had was, or one conflict I had was my wife had a baby 5 weeks ago. So we had that process a little bit. And generally my coach lives in, my head trainer, Clayton Hires, lives in Nevada now. So he generally comes out here and stays with me, and that's the training camp. And this time he didn't because, we had a newborn in the house and it just didn't quite work out. So it's the first training camp where Clayton hasn't been there every step of the way, but he makes my mom go to every practice. He makes my mom FaceTime so he can watch every practice. So I wasn't without him, but his physical presence, if I was to say one thing, he wasn't here.
Well, the reason why I ask is because you did not look great against Vanderlei. You won, but you didn't look great. It was a lot of, hey, Chael still has his heart. He still has his chin. He still is not going to quit no matter what's going on, because you looked exhausted. Now, obviously, I'm at home watching on TV. I'm not in your head. I don't know what's actually going on. You looked extremely, more tired than, you get tired. You're going to fight. You're going to get tired. But you looked really tired come the end. And so that's why I was asking, was anything different and what was going on, because you did not look like the Chael that I expected to see against a guy like Vanderlei, someone that you really do hate this guy. It's not like a thing, and it's just you just didn't bring it.
I don't know that I would disagree with your assessment. I was trying to control that match and hold action where I could hold it and go round by round and eat up some clock and get done. But who knows what that could have stemmed from? That was only 6 months ago, but I can't remember those nights any better than anybody else. Whether you had some fear or some anxiety or just didn't see the opportunities to strike, I really don't know. I felt pretty good that night, but you are right. The gas tank was a little bit low, and I was using a lot of energy. I don't know that I would disagree with you.
You know what? Just to me, on the outside looking in, it seems like to me you get more tired when you're trying to conserve energy than you do when you're just like, fuck it, I'm just going to go for it. Like, you really seem like you get more exhausted trying not to do anything. I got to hold here, and it's like that anxiety makes your gas tank lower.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. Okay. I think that's fair.
Okay, all right. So, how's the newborn? Let's talk about the family.
She's great, man, but she sleeps all day and she parties all night. So if we could flip her schedule around, I would have nothing to critique at all. But she's wonderful. Thank you, buddy.
Just an unsolicited suggestion. Remember, all parents will give you advice and tell you exactly what to do, and it's all BS because you're right. It's your DNA. It's a suggestion. It's not the heart. But I had my youngest Lavin was flipped, and so we had to do. He had to suffer for one day. We just had to keep him up all day, just make him suffer, and he was like screaming the whole day. It was literally a 12-hour day of him just crying because we wouldn't let him go to sleep. And then that night he went to sleep and he was flipped, and that was it. And then we just had to do it one time, and he slept all the way through. But it sucks that one day you got to do it. It sucks.
I've heard parents doing that, Frank, with potty training. There's a gal that's got a thing on the internet, and for 2 days, it was a weekend, Saturday and Sunday, they just stayed in the bathroom. That was it.
Yeah.
For 2 days, and they put the kid in the right position at the right time, and she swears that it works. So if you can tough out those 2 days, or in your point, if I tough out and be disciplined for 12 hours, maybe that would work. I haven't tried it, but I do appreciate the advice.
Man, you can just dump it in with the jar with everything else I was told you, how to put car seats in and what toys to get them, and whether you should spank him or not spank him, and whether your son should be playing with BB guns now because he's going to be hunting later. Like, all that crap all goes in the same jar. It's all useless.
You're right. But it is trial and error. I do listen to a lot of advice, whether it's unsolicited or not, because you want to be really good. If there's any job you've got that you want to do well, it's parenting. And, you get a couple of cracks at it, and that's it. So I wouldn't pretend to be an expert, but I am enjoying the process.
How is Miss Brittany doing?
Miss Brittany's awesome. Miss Brittany is she recovered instantly. She's very happy. She's just a wonderful person. She's as beautiful as she is.
Or C-section?
Natural.
Okay, good. So everything went fine then. All right. My wife has been talking to me over my shoulder. She wants me to mention that she wants Joel back on your podcast.
Oh, really? A
She
push
doesn't like.
Joel. I will tell her I will let the Godfather know. I will send him a text message. He actually moved. He moved to a different state, but he is coming back. So I suppose that is possible to happen.
Yeah, they're. It's just the dynamic of the. Sorry, is it Jake? Who's your partner now? I apologize.
Jake.
Jake. Okay, so
Jake.
Jake just agrees with you all the time. You guys are on the same page. There's no. I listen to your podcast. You get the anxiety of, oh, they're gonna start fighting on TV. Like they're really gonna start coming to blows. And you and Joel would have that. We're like, oh, they're about to hit each other. This is what's gonna happen. Keep listening. And you and Jake is kind of like, I get the same information. I'm not saying the information's bad. It's the same great information. It's just like I'm not dialed into it. And my wife is like, yeah, it's just not. Jill is like, yeah, it's just not. Like Joel is just way better. I want to see you, Jake, and Joel on there because when you piss off Joel, he'll just jump on Jake.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, she's right, man. It is different. There's a different energy in that studio for sure. And maybe Joel will be back. I never considered that till she just said it, but we might honor that request.
They're what are you at 500,000? What are you every 500,000 downloads every podcast that comes out?
500,000. Yep. Yeah, so and it has grown. I've kind of plateaued at that number.
That's not a bad number to have, man. That's probably about 500% more than what I could ever possibly get. So.
In the digital space, yeah, we've been real lucky. Thanks, Frank.
Good for you, yeah, man. It's great. Chael, thanks so much for coming on, man. I know you just got home and had a bunch of interviews today, so I appreciate you coming through. We'll talk again later.
I love talking to you. See you, pal.
Bye, bud.